what we're doing this week, yeah. So I've been in my other lessons. I've been doing a theme. I've been looking at the chakras. I should have told you about them last week. I didn't actually. I just got on with doing the class, but in fact, I can't even find my blooming notes now. There it is. So yeah, we're doing Svadistana chakra in my other lessons, and I'm doing a course and I'm enjoying them out, and it feels like I'm at school again. My artistic skills are getting better week in, week out, but this is one of the early ones I did. This is what the Svadhisthana chakra, they have different representations, but this is the one that I did. And so it's the water chakra. The element is water. The petals all signify the cold of vrittis, so like the disturbances of the mind, which are attached to this kind of chakra. I tell you, there's so much to know about these things. This is meant to be a crocodile. And it's meant to signify stillness, and then like a burst of energy. There is a crescent moon that is not a beach. There is and like we always signify you know, because of where it is in your sacrum, that we want to that there's hip postures. So I'm doing pigeon pose. I've improved this picture because it did have me looking like I was naked sunbathing next to a crocodile, but I've drawn clothes on it now. So yeah, this is the theme of today's class, Svadhisthana chakra. So we're going to do quite a lot of stuff to release hips. You're looking very confused there, Elizabeth. Yes, that is my drawing. It was not done by a child. Yes, so sacrum chakra. So these chakras, I'll start at the beginning. When I first started doing yoga, I was like, I don't think I believe in them, but we're meant to believe in them. I used to think it was really, really hippie. And, you know, when I first started doing yoga, I was very like, this is all about movement. I love the movement. And anything that was, you know, I'm not much of a chanter. I'm getting more into it. You know, I think it's because I'll talk a lot, but I'm also quite shy, and I don't want to like come across as being really weird and stuff. So I'm always like, oh no, it's all about postures. I'm like, I need to know and feel that it's you know, that there's something that I can attach to before I believe it, if you know what I mean. So with chakras, I was like, I'm not really sure about it. But then the more and more I practice, the more I do believe that it's something within that I can connect to. And so what these are, they're meant to represent energy centers in the body where we store feelings and emotions. And the more I've learned about these, like especially doing this course, is that there's like quite a lot of psychology to it, and which is again why I'm quite, you know, getting more into these. So we've got 7 that run up the body from the base of the spine right up to the crown of the head. And last week, secretly, we did Muladhara chakra. So that one is the one that deals with our sense of connection, like getting our basic needs met in our life. You know, have we got enough food? Have we got enough things to support us? So they always talk about being grounded, and yeah, whenever you feel a little bit disturbed, like come back to what it is that's disturbing you. You know, is it something that you need to attend to? So this is, like I said, like the psychology behind it. This one here, the sacral chakra, Svadhisthana chakra. I'm going to read my notes because I've got no brain. Yeah, so it's the water chakra. It's meant to deal with pleasure. So contentment, creativity, and pleasure. When we're out of whack, we might be jealous. We might have possessiveness. It's got another name, which basically it translates as one's own home or the seat of one's energy. What else can I tell you? It relates to the sacrum, kidneys, urinary tract, the moon, if it's connected to the water. And I think if you think about us as people, we're made out of water. Quite a lot of us is made of water. So I hope I'm not losing you. So what else can I tell you about it? So yeah, so the way I want to practice today with this in mind is we're going to meditate on that chakra at the end of it. But as we're practicing today, just to think about being as fluid as you can, to not be rigid in your practice. So I'll shut up now and I'll let you lay down. Thank you for listening. So yeah, make yourself nice and comfortable, lay on the floor, close your eyes and settle in for a few moments. I'll tell you, the lady who does this lesson is much more better at explaining these things than me. So as you're resting into this moment, closing your eyes, Starting to sense the weight of the ground behind you, how it feels to surrender into the floor. Starting to feel where's heavy within the body, the head, the shoulders, the hips. And becoming more and more aware of your breathing with every breath that you take. And I don't know what it is that you like to attach yourself to when you practice, but if it's not your breathing, just start to let that, whatever it is, become your focal point, be it sensation, be it maybe the sound of your breath. We can bring our awareness to the space between our eyes now, so we can just picture kind of a little point between the eyebrows, getting sense of your inner wisdom, and then turn the inner gaze all the way down to the base of the spine, and then just into that sacral chakra. So it's on that big bone at the base of the spine, just above your sit bone, just below the base of the spine. Bring your awareness just that point. And just settle in for a few moments. See if you can feel your breath in your belly and whether or not it reaches down into that place. And then let's start our movement practice, shall we? So we're going to stand our feet up. So you've got your feet standing on the floor, knees pointing towards the ceiling. And just for a moment, sense your toes, sense your heels, sense your footprints. And, you know, maybe notice whether or not your feet feel the same weight. That's always an interesting thing to notice. And then from this place, use your feet. Keep your heels and your feet still, but we're just going to begin to pull the heels towards us. And that's that sensation through the feet. Gently try to push your feet away from you and feel how your lower back drops softly into the floor. And again, without moving the feet, pulling the heels in towards the bottom. And again, without moving the feet, gently pressing your feet away and feeling how your lower back softens into the floor. And you're just kind of rolling over the sacrum, you're rolling over that lovely little place where we're bringing our awareness to today. That sacrum's an interesting place. I mean, physically, it's a junction box through the body. You know, it's made of a few bones. It's not a solid thing. It's fused together. It's a junction between the top and the bottom of the body. So it's an interesting place to be aware of physically. And just gently pulling that yourself again into that gentle arch, and again, gently pushing your feet away to a gentle flatten. It's going to be undulation of that movement from the feet, through the knees, through the hips, into the pelvis, into the spine. And maybe you can feel the movement all the way to your head, and maybe let your head nod very gently with that. Checking in on the movement through your shoulders. And then let's come to stillness. And then keeping your knees standing up, float right hip up off the floor. Gently rest your right hip down, and again, gently float your left hip up off the floor. Time to roll across the pelvis, and then keep your knees standing up. Just noticing again with the feet. That lifts the hip. I'm just thinking about all the lovely ways we can do massage on the floor. A delicate little arch, you're actually twisting. But that lower half of the body is turning from side to side, so in a really lovely way of just mobilizing that spine. And widen out your feet just a little. And then just repeating that same thing, but this time rather than just letting your hips float to the ceiling, your hip float to the ceiling. Drop your knees to the floor. So let both knees fall to maybe to the right first, and roll into centre. And then again, just let your knees fall to the left, to the opposite side. And just notice where your attention goes as you're taking your knees from side to side. Normally, my awareness goes to the top and feeling how it is. You're extending the top hip, bringing that knee flat back, you're extending into that hip joint. You might feel that extension all the way into the shoulders, through the ribs, into the belly. But I want to now bring awareness not to that top leg, but to the bottom leg. So as you're taking left, think about what your left leg is doing and just allow it to relax completely to the floor. Let go of that tension. So now if I'm doing...
And the thing is now I can't see you, so I've got to assume you're doing brilliantly. So just again, let your knees drop from side to side. So again, you've got your knees nice and wide, you're dropping your pelvis from side to side, and knees are falling softly. Come back to that sensation of letting the outer knees go. Okay, so settling back into centre. So we can have these again, these knees standing up. And we're bringing our awareness to our arms this time. So I'm just going to change position so you can see these arms, because obviously the camera's a little bit lower this time. So we've got, if you can have your knees standing up again, and you've got your arms out from side and out by your sides, kind of just let your shoulders soften into the floor. And then if you've been in the lessons earlier on this week, this is going to be familiar. So we're going to use that same mechanism to come to seated. So we're going to start with our left hand, placing the left hand on the shoulder, sliding your left hand across the chest towards your right arm. And you're going to notice your left shoulder picking itself up. You're going to feel the ribs picking itself up. And then when you kind of feel there's a little bit of resistance and effort that's needed, we're just going to slowly unwind back, sliding your hand across the chest. And again, coming back to our starting position. Just again, taking the hand to the chest, sliding it across to the right. And just doing this a few times until you kind of notice that that movement that you're feeling is actually coming down to your left hip. When you start to feel that movement is coming to that left hip, gently press into your left knee and just allow yourself to roll over to the right. And the hand slides. And just let your knees fall to the right. And then slowly sliding your left hand back along the right arm. And we're not going to stay in twist. Bring your feet again back to middle and rest onto your back. So we're going to keep them back to this starting place. So the hand finds the shoulder, slides along the arm, all the way down, let your knees fall, and again rolling. Let your head settle with it as well. And again, unwind, rolling onto your back. Again, hand comes across. Just take your time to settle into this. And again, it's a gentle twist, feeling the order of movement through the neck, through the shoulder, through the ribs, down to hips. So this is all well and good, but I did say it's going to be an interesting way of coming to seated. So I know people have been this week who have a good idea of what they're going to do next. So what I'd like us now to do is, as you bring yourself over to the side, rather than letting your hands come together, if you could place your left hand on the floor by your right side, and then bring the right elbow forwards towards the left, the left elbow forwards towards the right elbow, and lift your head up, and then roll back onto your back. So again, you're taking that left hand across the chest, placing the fingertips on the floor, and then the left elbow comes forwards. Lift your head up and taking your head over towards your right hand. And then we can begin to again unwind and come back down onto your back. We're trying to do it with as little effort. Think about every muscle working in harmony. So you're rolling over, bringing the head over towards the right hand. And then we can begin to maybe just lean into the right hand and spiral the head up. And we're going to come to a seated position that kind of resembles a bit of a sage's twist. So knees are dropped to the side, and we can look gently over the left shoulder. And starting again to unwind, sliding back onto your back. And again, coming back down onto your back. So taking the hand to the chest, sliding it across, knees come across. hand comes to the floor, head floats up, bring it over the hand and again spiral up towards the left. Feeling how your knees fall to the floor, bones begin to start looking over the shoulder. And you can even maybe go the other way, looking over the opposite shoulder. See how that feels. Just do a few little, again, simple twists. We slide our hands back down to the floor and again unwind, bring back onto your back. Just play with that in your own way. So again, leading with your left hand, sliding it across, rolling up. You can see a really tiny little screen at the bottom. I'm going to get a better vision of that actually in a second. They're all for telephones as well, say. Sliding back down onto your back. Whenever you're ready. And maybe this next time we come into this, we'll add on something else. So again, starting with your left hand, whenever you're ready, slide it across, knees go across, lifting up, spiraling up. And then let's take our awareness to the right side. So if you can all come to seated, I'm sure you are sitting this time. Taking your hands around to the right, bringing your hands to the floor on your right side. Slide your hands away, so it's not quite a pigeon. In fact, your right knee should be kind of in front of you, with your with both knees to that left side. If it feels nice, begin to straighten out your left leg. And then sliding your hands back in, bringing your left knee back in, and maybe just explore reaching your right hand and your left hand slightly behind you. Again, sliding your hands back in, maybe sliding those hands again directly out to the right, taking a bow over the leg. And again, it might be nice just to straighten out that back leg. So again, it's not quite a pigeon, it's quite a tilty pigeon. And then find a way to roll onto your back. We can go the other way, shall we? Again, settle down onto your back, knees are standing up. I'll spin this round so I can keep a little eye this way. And then starting with your right hand, taking your right hand to the centre of the chest, sliding it across to your left arm. Again, feel your shoulder. Notice when those ribs are beginning to peel themselves off the floor. Maybe do that a few times. And then whenever you're ready, you just let the knees drop at that right time. So let the arm guide the ribs, guide the hip, let your knees fall to the left again, settle onto your left side. And then you're just going to pull that right shoulder back, rolling through the bones, feeling that you can drop the feet into the floor and again settle back down onto your back. I kind of think about this as being just, imagine that you're laying in bed and this is just the loveliest way of maybe just reaching for something by your side. We're doing it in the most restful way as we can. So when you're ready, we're going to take that right hand onto the floor, push the elbow softly away, lift the head over towards the left hand, and again roll back down onto your back. So the right hand again finds the chest, finds the floor, lifting the elbow, begin to maybe spiral up to seated. Knees drop to the floor, and again we can turn to look over our right shoulder. And again, turning to look over the left shoulder. Sliding the hands away onto the floor. And again, just thinking about the lovely, smoothest way you can roll back to the floor. And again, roll back to seated. Get a different vision up on here. I can see you all better now. So maybe the next time you come up to seated, there you go. Let's all face that left side, shall we? So bringing both hands again to the left and sliding away in the direction of the knee. So again, your knee's not out like a pigeon, it's across the body. And if you can, begin to straighten your right leg. sliding your hands back in. And again, we can move our hands out maybe to the left. Take the hands out to the left. Sliding the hands back into centre, and again, taking your hands forward. Just maybe settle down. If it feels good to straighten out the right leg behind you, settle down. Take a few breaths here. And this little thing with these legs is going to be really useful for what we're going to do next. Okay, so sliding your hands back in towards your knees and coming onto all fours. Just take a seat for a second. You know, I actually like this camera. If only I could get it to work with, it's going to be wonderful. Right, so placing your hands on the floor, tucking your toes under. Again, the beginning of this lesson is very much like what we've been doing in the other lessons this week. So we're going to just come into like this position. So knee to nose, knees bringing back. So if you can just maybe bring your weight into your left knee to start with, and take an inhale, bring your right knee in towards your belly, and then exhale, taking that right knee up and back. You're trying to keep that left knee kind of under the hip, try not to push the hip out too much. And then all we're going to do is just drop that knee just into the floor, keep it covering, and then just give your knee a little bit of a shake. So think about it being like a little pendulum. I'm in a very strange position on this camera. And then take an inhale and bring the knee in. It might come in a little bit easier, and then exhale, take it back. And then again, inhale, drop it, give it a bit of a wiggle. And again, you're trying to think about it being like, you know, you've got dead leg, you're trying to shake out maybe pins and needles in your foot. So that leg is just like a little pendulum. And then inhale, take the knee in, exhale, take it back. A bit more fluidity in that movement. Inhale, taking the knee in, exhale, taking the knee up and back. Okay, so what we didn't do this week, and here's a bit of fun, can we bring that knee forwards and across and in front of the left knee? So take it in, cross it over your left knee. So I've now got my legs kind of crossed. Alrighty, let's take that back, place it down. So let's have a look at that left leg, shall we? So again, take an inhale, bring the left knee in, and then exhale, take it back. Check and feel what that is like as a movement. And then bring the knee underneath you and again, shake it out again. Just let that movement flow through the bone. Legs nice and relaxed. And then take an inhale, bring it in, and exhale, flow it back. Inhale, bringing the knee in. Exhale, flow it back. Now we're just going to let it relax again. Let the leg relax. Again, shake it out. And then inhale, bring it in. Exhale, bring it back. Do that a few times. Hopefully finding a little bit more freedom of movement through that leg, and then maybe we can cross it over the right leg. And again, bring the legs across. So again, we've kind of crossed those legs. And then, shall we go for a little walk? So look towards the space in front of you. Take an inhale, look down towards your knees, and as you exhale and look forwards, take your right knee out from behind your left, float it back. Inhale, bring it in, and can we cross it over the front of the left leg? And then looking down towards your left leg, rounding the spine, inhale, looking forwards. Take the left leg out from behind and cross it over the right leg. I can't work out my left leg. You have to walk your hands forwards. I'm going to go off the camera at some point. You'll just see my feet. So I'm just walking back. So again, you inhale, look to knees. Exhale, look forwards, unhooking the leg. Inhale, bring it forwards, cross it over. And then you might find yourself kind of at the front of your mat, and we're going to now begin to walk backwards. So let's walk backwards. Take an inhale, look to your knees. Bring the knee up. Exhale, float it back, looking forwards, and again, bring it behind the opposite leg. Hands walk in, inhale, look into your left knee, exhale, look forward, bring it behind, walking back. And then settle in, so have a little look at the feet, the knees in front of you. So you don't know which one you've got, but I've got my right leg crossed over left. I'm now fanning out my feet behind me, so it doesn't matter if you've got the other ones crossed. So I'm just showing you again my bottom. I've got a nice space in my bottom to go between my knees. And then I'm just going to start to walk my hands in. Actually, that's an outrageous line. Keep my hands where they are. I'm pushing my hands forwards and feel my bottom coming towards that space between my heels. Pull with the hands to bring yourself back to centre. So this is just about listening to your knees, listening to your joints, starting just to kind of let the flow from the push from the hands migrate to the hips. Is it feeling comfortable? Do you think we could maybe take a seat? Should you take a seat? So I'm going to now walk my hands in. I'm going to take a seat. And then obviously I'm thinking, is this a good idea? For me, it feels like a good idea. For others, it might be thinking a little bit cockeyed, flat on foot. Maybe you're going to rearrange yourself. So what you would do is maybe straighten the bottom leg. You might reposition the top leg. So I want you just to feel that you can rest in this place for a few moments. And then we're looking at our hips. Just think about whether or not they're upright or they're tilted under. Have a little roll across your sacrum. And let's bring our focus again into the hips. Take a few breaths. Think about relaxing your hips. This feels like such a strange concept, like, oh, I'm in this weird position, but letting physically go. And we just take a breath and think about softening a bit deeper into it. So taking a look at the knees you've got across. So I've got my right leg on top, my left leg underneath. So I'm going to bring my right arm out with my right thumb, my left thumb out with my left thumb down. So right thumb up, left thumb down. If you've got it the opposite way, it doesn't really matter. But basically, I like to go with the upper knee and the upper thumb in the same direction. If that makes any sense. So right knee, right thumb. So we're going to take the hands in the direction of the thumb. So my right thumb is going to the ceiling, my left thumb is going down towards the ground behind me. And then I'm sliding that right hand onto the top of my head to start with, and that left hand is going onto my sacrum and sliding up the back. And this is where you can practice your cow leg hands if you want to. You might want to slide your hand down the back of the head. What you're trying to avoid is kind of crushing your head in order to get your hands to touch. So I'd like to keep your spine tall. And if you try to get your hands to touch and your head is kind of coming forward, I'd rather you just kind of slide and touch your head. But some of us can connect fingers, so connect fingers. I'm thinking when I want to still do something, you could maybe just take this left hand out, bring it across and press it on the elbow. So that's another little way of practicing. So my left hand's come across and it's pressing on that on the right elbow. So now we've all got this connection in some way. Let's look to the floor in front of us and I'll bring the belly forwards over the thighs and take a bow down towards the floor. I'm just going to reposition my hands because I prefer it the other way. And just let your belly swell against your thigh. Feeling how that flow from the belly rises up to the neck, into the hip. Sliding yourself back up to centre, undering your arms, looking down at your feet again and thinking, oh, I've got another leg, haven't I, that needs to go on top of me. You'd be right. So placing your hands on the floor. And again, if you've got one leg straight, coming back to all fours and see if you can again recross. So my right leg is on top. Basically, remember whichever leg you've got on top. Take an inhale, look down towards your knees, and as you do that, the leg behind is gonna, where are we? At the front of the mat. Where you are, let's go backward, go forwards. We're gonna take the leg out from behind, look forwards as you float that leg up, and then take an inhale, look down towards the knee. The tailbone curls, you're bringing that knee up, and you're gonna cross it and feed it over the front leg. Walk your hands forwards a little bit. And then again, look forwards, coming back to our arched spine. Exhale, inhale, looking down to knees. The leg that's behind floats up. We look forward, the tailbone lifts, the spine arches. And again, as you bring that knee in, curl the spine, look to the knee, feed it over. Hands walk forward, looking forwards, arching the spine. Inhale, rounding the spine, crossing the legs over. So you walk backwards, you might be already walking backwards, it depends what space you've got. Looking down towards the knee, you feed that knee out from the front and then step it behind. Hands catch up. Looking down towards the knee, we bring the knee from front, sweep it up, bring it behind. Now we should all have a different leg in front of us now, shouldn't we? So widen out your feet and then work with your hands, just gently pressing your hands forward, feeling how your front knee floats up. And again, as you rest back into your hands, your front knee comes back down to the floor. Again, play with that, just be in no hurry to go any further than this. Just pressing those hands forwards, floats the top knee up, bringing those palms back into the floor. Just feeling that knee come back down. And whenever you're ready, I do this all day, I'm never ready for this. Walking the hands in and taking a seat. So you have a different leg cross this time. And again, we make all those little adaptations, don't we? We can straighten out that bottom leg if that feels better. We can adjust the top leg, just so you think, oh, I need to break myself to do this. I'm going to stay like this just so you can think, so you don't have to go to full pose. So I've got that left leg crossed, my right leg bent. And again, I'm just going back into that sense of grounding through the pelvis. Is it upright? Relaxing the arms and just think about gazing forwards. And again, just connecting to the breath in the tummy. Thinking about relaxing that, going that little bit deeper into the pelvis. So now looking at this top knee, this is my left knee. You might have got your right knee, it's no bother. Taking the same arm out with the thumb up and then the opposite thumb down and then going in the direction of the thumbs. So one hand reaches up, one hand goes down, one hand finds the sacrum, one hand finds the head, and you slide again those points towards each other. See how you go? So I'm trying to avoid crushing of the head. So do see people trying to get the head there, and if anything, I would say that's actually counterintuitive, because if you're looking down, you're actually rounding the spine, making that job a little bit more difficult. You actually kind of want the chest to come forward a little bit. So I would just work on sliding your hand down, the head down towards the neck. And you can always connect the hands, but if you can't connect the hands and you do want to feel that you're doing something, you can maybe hold your t-shirt, maybe let the left hand, the upper hand rest on the shoulder and bring the other one round and connect to the elbow. And then staying here if you fancy it, or beginning again to lengthen the tummy down over the front thigh, taking a bow towards the floor. And then wherever it is that you begin to settle, just feeling how your belly rests against your thigh. If you've got your arm on that, if you've got the top arm, if you're holding the elbow, it might feel a lot better just to bring your hands to the floor, just so you're not carrying too much weight on top of that body. So again, we can always bring those hands to the floor if that feels better for the back. Or stay in position. Again, just letting your belly swell against your thighs, feeling how that breath flows up the spine to the head. Unhooking, placing your hands into the floor and unhook your feet. And then let's find a way towards standing, shall we? So bringing these from side to side. As you're doing that, I tend to find if you kind of windscreen like the legs, unless you bring attention to your pelvis, you start to walk in towards your feet. So start to let yourself walk in towards your feet, hopping into a bit of a crouch. And when you come into crouch, I don't really care how you crouch in, as long as it's comfortable. So heels up is absolutely fine, heels down if that's natural, don't force it. Have a play with how you've done your feet as well. So obviously the closer the feet are together, the less balance you're going to have. Widen out your feet, checking whether or not you should have your toes turned out, have a wiggle into the floor to settle into your crouch. Once you're settled into your crouch, it could be that some of us aren't going as low as this. We might be having our knees a little bit less bent because it might feel a bit better for the knees. Doesn't matter. We're going to start to rise up. So keep your belly on your thighs. Have your knees bent. So you want that rib cage to feel supported through the thigh bones. Relaxing your hands to the floor. Let your head go. Just wiggle, settle into your fold. And then we're going to play with this for a little bit. We're just going to start to open out the legs to the point that you're going to feel your belly, your spine float away from your pelvis, from your thighs, sorry. So if you straighten your legs and you've rounded, what you've done is you're using your back to fold. So we want to keep that connection. So you're just listening and feeling what is happening in the spine, feeling when your head is and your spine is straightening a little bit. And you can feel yourself floating away. So we want to just keep all this movement in the legs, if that makes any sense. So you're just going to re-bend the knees, straighten the legs, keeping all that movement in the legs. Try not to let your spine float away from your thighs. And then what I like to do now is just come back towards crouch, starting to look forwards, taking your fingertips off the floor, bringing all that weight into your legs. So we're just going to press. I'm going to probably come off this camera in a second again. Oh, I'm not. Going up to standing. And then bend your knees again, going all the way back down. So using the legs, take your time to come down, let your hips shift back, fingertips come back to the floor. And again, straighten the legs, softening back down into fold. Bending the knees, feeling the bottom creep towards heels, taking the hands off the floor, letting the weight go into feet, and again, press and rise up. Hands come back. Bending knees, so again, use the legs, try not to use the side. Settling down into fold. Again, re-bending the knees, pressing and rising. Left in a little dark corner in this place. So from this place, standing on your tiptoes this time, looking forwards. Feeling you press with your big toes to keep you balanced. Hands come to heart. Bend your knees, going down I would say as far as you can. I don't mean force it, but to a point where it feels like a good point to stop. So you're going to like to keep that, bring your hands onto your rib cage, straighten back up. Actually, I'll get you back to the start. Straight back up, drop your heels into the floor, and I want you just to bring your thumbs onto your lowest rib. So you've got your breastbone widen out, your two little ribs that sit back from the others. Little fingers onto the top of your pelvis. And this is just, we want to keep this part of the spine still as we do this. So just feel the space you've got between the ribs and the pelvis. Then we're going to float up onto toes. Then bend the knees, and you just come down as far as you can without changing that shape between your thumb and your finger. Press and float back. Doing that again, going up onto toes. Bending the knees, again keeping that space between the ribs and the pelvis. And again, you come into that point where you feel that you should stop. So we're all going to have different places. Pressing heels into. Again, coming down. Now let's pause here for a second. We're going to bring these arms out wide up towards the sky and then down to heart. Okay, so we're going to step back now with our left foot. So drop your right heel and step your left foot back, moving into something that's going to resemble warrior position. So to do this, we want the pelvis to face forward. Keep your left heel lifted, so you're on the ball of your left foot. Your right knee again is pointed relatively close in relation to how your pelvis feels. So think about your pelvis, your knee, your toes. Starting to dip your left knee towards the floor. And again, as we're taking that left knee towards the floor, coming back to that awareness now we've got of the midriff. Keeping those ribs hovering in line with the pelvis. And floating the arms up. Bringing the hands back. Inhaling, floating arms up. Exhaling, hands to heart. Inhale. Exhale. As we press it, bringing our hands to heart this time, press into your right foot and step into to stand. And then your left knee, we're going to bring it forwards in front of us. And all I'm going to ask you to do now is just keep your pelvis upright and explore straightening your left foot. The height is unimportant. If it feels wrong, you can always bend the knee again. What we're trying to avoid doing is tucking the pelvis. So keep the pelvis nice and upright and the spine lengthening out of the pelvis. Taking your left foot down to the floor, sweep it back, moving towards a warrior 3 position. So again, warrior 3 to me, the depth of it is unimportant. Again, keeping that space between the pelvis and the ribs, pivoting over the right hip. Some of us might be turning out a little bit, and that'd be perfect if you are. That's absolutely fine to pivot a little bit in those pelvis. Again, for me to say your pelvis should be dead straight to the floor would be totally wrong. Woo, bringing your arms out for balance if you need to. And then floating back up and bringing the left knee up. Explore straightening the left leg. And then cross the left ankle onto the right. Bend the right knee. Taking a little seat. And again, awareness to the pelvis and the ribs. Straightening the legs. Just drop our left foot into the floor for a second. So I want to move towards a balance that we practiced last week called half moon pose. So I'm just going to spin around actually. I can't balance down at this wall. It's too matte and I lose my balance. But I'm going to be going to the floor some a little bit better. So if you need a block, I think you might have got some nearby. If you don't, you can have the standing leg a little bit bent. So going back into this right foot again. We're going to start firstly by going through our warrior 3. So taking your left foot back, dropping your weight into your standing leg. Let your pelvis begin to pivot. Bending your right knee is going to bring you closer to the floor, and then this is where we can bring our hands to the floor. So like I say, this one we don't have to go into the full pose. We can just keep low, and we can keep the fingertips on the floor and just practice turning the pelvis. So again, coming into this and putting into the balance, you don't have to just keep fingertips on the floor to start with. And it's a push on that left foot and a little turn of the pelvis. And just feeling how that movement moves into your ribs and your belly. Just do that a few times. And my right hand is happy on the floor, and I can feel my left hand feeling a little bit lighter. I'm just going to bring that left hand to my left hip. I've just used that swear word, I mean, I hate that word, I've just said it. You might feel comfortable about bending your left knee. And you might want to explore taking your hands to the foot. So turning your body back to the floor, dropping that left foot back in, stepping into fold for a second. Let go of the knees, let go of the belly, give yourself a wiggle, soften into the fold. And then when you're ready, curl to standing. We've got to go the other way. I don't think we've been to panto. To do it again, then won't we? Yes, that's what we're doing now. So we're going to go to the opposite side. So let's come again back into our tiptoes. So bringing your hands to heart. And then down your breastbone. Thumbs again find those little ribs and the little the pelvis at the front. So we want to keep that space. Taking an inhale up onto toes. Exhale, bend the knees again. Trying to find that sense that these 2 points between the hands don't move. Go down as far as feels comfortable, and then straighten the legs, and then repeat it. You're kind of listening, I think, for this one, the knees. Don't go too far. Feel that the knees are at your back. And the next time we come down, let's pause here for a second. And then floating your hands up. Stepping your right foot back, drop your left heel. So moving into what would resemble a warrior 1 position. And so again, my feet point forwards, my right heel's lifted, and that pelvis again is pointing forward. Just again, maybe have a little play with your left knee. Where should it point to? We've all got different hips. So again, if I said have your feet directly forward, you might need a little turn out. So just make sure that your knee and toes are going in that same direction and it feels good in those hips. And then we're going to begin to dip that right knee towards the floor. So we're keeping the pelvis upright, spine follows, floating the hands up. You'd move them. Stepping into your left foot, bringing your hands to heart. And again, as we're coming into this pelvis, you want to feel that it's upright. Taking that right knee forwards. Explore, straighten the right leg without tucking the tailbone under. Let's take that leg again down behind, moving in towards whatever you feel like the right warrior three for you. So again, these arms can float out. Again, doesn't really match on the angle. Coming back again to our standing point with the left, with that right knee forwards. And again, straighten the leg if that is comfortable. Crossing your right foot over onto your left thigh. Bend the left knee. Woo, and fall over possibly. So it's a little dip of that knee. Trying to keep that left knee pointing forward. And again, that sense of space between the ribs and pelvis. So straighten the leg. Step in again, just back a little, keeping that left foot on the floor. Coming towards our balance. So again, you might have a block in your left hand this time. You might again not even bother going into the full version of that balance. Choice is always yours. So I'm bringing that weight into my left foot, moving towards my warrior three. And then I'm going to bend that left knee a little bit, and this is going to bring those hands closer to the floor. And so my hands are found the floor, everything's facing the floor to start with. And then I'm going to start moving with my left leg. I'm bending the knee, pressing and straightening, and turning that right hip out a little bit. And I'm just thinking, does that feel good? And I can actually feel that right hand becoming a little bit lighter. And so we can always keep the fingertips on the floor. So actually on this side, I'm going to keep my hands on the floor. I'm not going to go into anything fancy. So if you want to, you can stay like this. So you could always bring that right hand to the hip. And what we did last time was we brought the right foot in and we explored touching the toes. But again, you can maybe bend the knee and keep facing the floor if that's your will. You could always maybe make things really interesting, bend the knee a few times and just see how that left leg likes working. And then let's turn towards the floor, stepping your feet in. Bend your knees, give them a wiggle, let everything go. And then slowly rise to standing. Anyway, so widen out your feet. Oh, I'm doing splits on this carpet. But again, we've all got natural turnouts. We've all got different hips and pelvises. Like some people's I was looking at my friends the other day onto the bike ride. One person rides a bike with the knees turned out. One rides a bike with the knees turned in. But yeah, we've all got really strong hips, and it's all because of like how bones are. Some rotate inwards, some bow out. You know, none of us have got the same hip structure. So you know, I think we did this in the lesson the other week. Just I want you just to stand and look down at your feet, and actually wiggle your feet in and out a few times. Get a sense of what feels right in your hips. And then, you know, notice if when you come to something that feels like standing, do your feet point in the same direction? Mine don't. One goes forwards, one turns out a little bit, and I'm accepting that. So I'm going to try and use that as my basis of my next movement. So I'm wiggling out my feet. I'm not going to do the splits in this carpet. I really am not stopped moving. I must have changed soap or something. I've got softer feet than the other day. Settling in. Again, letting that natural turnout appear even in my wide standing point. And then from this place, bringing my hands to down to thighs, and I'm walking them forward. And I'm feeling firstly that my pelvis is tilting, my spine is lengthening, but I've got the support of the arms. And I'm walking the hands down. So again, trying to get space through the spine first. Taking those hands towards the floor, towards my shins. And then once I'm there, I'm just going to bring awareness to my feet. So I'm going to lift up the toes, spread them out, drop them back down so I can feel those feet planted. And keeping the weight in the feet and then walking then the hands forward. So I'm just dropping the fingertips onto the floor in front of my toes. So again, this can be done with knees bent. So please don't think you have to be crazy bent. In fact, I'm going to have those knees bent a little bit. And then from here, walking the hands directly forward, keeping the weight in the feet. Again, I don't need to drop your weight into hands, keeping the weight in the feet. Stay on your fingertips and then just let your head begin to settle, let your chest begin to settle. One of the most pleasurable yoga poses known to humanity, I think, this one. You get a sense of length from your space all the way down into the sacrum. All the way down your thighs and into your feet. Just feel the grounding of your feet. Feel the space at your sacrum. And what I love so much again about this pose so much is when you breathe in, again, there's that hollowness in the tummy. You feel you can really breathe really down into the sacrum. So walking your hands back in towards your feet. Come down onto your knees and to the floor. There you go. So now what? We're going to come back to something actually. We actually didn't do it, so it's all new to be fair. Come on to sitting. Come on to sitting. That's not even English, is it? I think it is. I don't think it really is. So sitting with your feet wide. Your hands behind you. Let's turn this way. Excuse me. Sorry, I get really potsy every lesson. That was my really pot there. So I want you to now just think about your knees being really, really heavy. Just imagine that they just fell. Slowly start to let them fall to the left and just let go of them. And just notice as you do that, your right pelvis floats up. And then think about your right hip feeling heavy. Slowly draw it back. Let your knee come, roll back up onto your back. And then let's go the other way. So just let your knees fall, let your left hip float up. And again, think about your left hip being heavy. Bring that awareness into the hip, floating knees up. And just do it again, rolling from side to side. I really love letting my knees feel heavy. It's great. I think it's because you become aware that when we do things like, I think this is like windscreen wipe, isn't it? That we do it with a lot of attention and, you know, we're really guiding the movement. I just want you to let go of that idea of guiding it, just letting gravity take you into it. And just notice as you do that, you know, I'm trying to stay on camera, so I'm wiggling around a little bit, but notice that your back hand kind of comes off the floor. So as you take your knees to the right, your left hand comes off the floor. Just let it do it. In fact, bring it around to the opposite side. So we're kind of starting to come into a bit of a twist. So we can maybe be a little bit kinder with those arms. So rather than letting them just flop round and create some tension on the shoulders or in the ribs, you know, start to place them down. Begin to be a little bit more cheeky with this, starting to take this into a twist, looking all the way around behind you. I feel like an owl at this point. You know, how much of the floor behind you can you see? You can lift your head up and look at the ceiling, look at all the things we need to tidy up at some point. And then starting to come the other way, bring the hip back, let your knees come, and then look all the way around, see how much can you see your foot behind you. But no, that's not a challenge, by the way. You might go there a bit. Then go the other way. And then start to maybe, as you go one way, the hand that's been on the floor that's trailed, slide it away from you. Slide it back in. Slide it away from you. Slide it back in. So kind of it's similar to what we did earlier on, but just approach it in a different way. Again, what I love about this, you get the sense of the wrist and the hand is actually connected into that sacrum, into the lower back. Just go gently, slide your hand away. And then let's go back, going the knees the other way. Again, the hand that trails, slide it away. Then slide it back in, getting that sense that the hand is connected into the sacrum. Feel how your pelvis rotates, and your hip floats up, your hip floats towards the floor. Then let's come to seated, shall we? One way, I really don't mind which way it is. So I've got my left knee in front of me. My right knee is just behind my left foot. And then I'm taking these fingers to the floor. So my hands are just in front of my left knee. And then take a look down towards your left knee. And as you take a look down towards your left knee, your pelvis is going to start to want to tilt downwards. Your spine's going to want to round, your tummy's going to want to get a little bit shorter. Start to look along the floor, start to look along the wall, start to look up towards the space in front of you. Hip bones are going to shoot back and the heart's going to come really proudly forwards. Looking down the floor, looking down towards your knee, let your tailbone tuck under. Looking along the floor, looking along up towards the window in front of you. I've got a window, you might not have. Towards the space in front of you. And again, looking down. Just notice your tailbone dropping and lifting. So you've got that beautiful correlation between your head and your pelvis. We're going to start to move towards pigeon pose, the one that I drew so badly on my little chakra picture. So looking forwards, as you look forwards, the knee that's behind you, start to slide it back. And then we're going to start to think about using these hands on the floor. So I want you to use the hands equally. So right now I've got more weight in my, where my left knee, where the knee in front of me is, more weight in the hand on that side. So I'm going to start to bring the weight into the opposite knee, into the opposite hand. And then I'm playing with that knee underneath and thinking, is it comfortable? Is it wrong? Is it in a good place? Does it feel good in the hip? So this is when we start to kind of modify our pigeon. Think, yeah, that feels better. So settling into what feels wholesome. And again, wholesome might mean maybe having the foot right tucked under. It might feel better to have something underneath the pelvis. I would particularly think if you've got knee issues with this one, it might be nice to actually get a good cushion, place it underneath the thigh in front of you, and that is going to take away some of the tension through that front knee. And then from here, all we're going to do again is look forward and then turn your head. So looking over your left shoulder, just think about keeping your head, your shoulders still to start with. So just feeling this through the neck. Maybe we're going to feel this down towards the backs of the ribs a little bit. But then what we could then start to do is invite the shoulders into this little story. So as you look over your left shoulder, bring the left shoulder back and let your right shoulder float forward. And then turn your head back towards the front of the mat. Look behind your right shoulder and let your left shoulder float forwards and your right shoulder float back. And then notice as you start to do that, your pelvis starts to be invited into this little part, doesn't it? As you look over maybe towards your right shoulder and your right knee, you're going to feel your left hip going into the floor. Maybe your right hip's going to float back. You might even want to let your right foot turn out a little bit. And then as you turn to look towards the space in front of you and you look over your left shoulder, you're going to feel that right hip float into the floor a little bit and your left hip float up. And just turning your head and you're letting the shoulders and you're letting your hips be involved in this. Feel what happens in your pelvis. Feel what happens in your spine. Be no hurry. And again, we're looking for good sensations. Keep doing this, which is rather wonderful. And because this is a dynamic class, I do like to throw some little silly things at you. So what my silly little thing is now is, as I'm looking towards the leg that's behind me, I'm rolling onto the side of my front knee, my front thigh. I've let my back leg turn out a little bit, and I'm thinking, there's a foot there. I really want to touch it, so I'm going to bend that knee and bring the foot in. And I'm going to wrap the hand onto the foot. Again, I'm being silly. You don't have to do this. Beyond everything, listening to that sacrum. So I don't want you to, try to push yourself into it. It might be that you just might want to just bring the foot in and tap it and play with that. If you're contented staying there, how would it feel for me to suggest taking that hand in front of you off the floor and bringing it behind the head and looking like you're posing on holiday? Instagram pose, that one. Bring yourself back, turn the gaze towards the floor, slide your hands forward, take a bow. tucking your hands in towards your knees. Let's roll back. Oh, I think we've got another leg. Yes, we do. Come back to our little position. And again, let your knees feel really heavy. Just let go of those knees, let go of those hips. About how they move. Does it? That left knee to me feels a little bit heavier than the right knee now, or the one I've been playing with mainly. So we're going to go the other way. So drop those knees the other way. Sliding again that back knee towards the front foot. Just repositioning yourself, turning everything towards the front, towards this knee that's in front of you. And looking towards the space in front of you, look down towards the knee. Again, let your tailbone tuck under. Oh my days, this is really late in the lesson, but then we did have that interruption. Looking forwards, tailbone floats up. Looking down, tailbone tucks under. Just take your time to feel that correlation between the hips and the head and the spine. Then when you're ready, start to move towards that pigeon. So again, my front knee, the hand on that side is bearing more weight. So I'm going to bring the weight towards both hands so the pelvis begins to turn towards the floor. And then again, I'm just playing with that front knee. Where does it need to be? For me, mine is happy out towards the wrist, but some of us might be happy inwards a little bit. Where should the foot be? Again, I don't like to be extreme. I wouldn't say have it up in line with the hands. Again, play with that foot. Where does it need to be? And again, if we've got knees that aren't our happiest of friends, we could prop it up. We can always place a cushion underneath that thigh bone. Again, that is going to take create a little bit of space in that knee, I would think, and make it a little bit more of a happier pose. And then settling in to your pigeon and starting again to turn your head. So look over one shoulder, keeping the chest still if you can to start with. And then starting to bring the shoulders into this. If you want to look towards that foot behind you, that shoulder would float back, the other one would come forward. You might even let that back, the hip on the front knee drop into the floor, let the back knee turn out. And again, as you turn your head to look forward, the foot behind you is turning, the knee is rolling, that hip is floating towards the floor. The one that is in front of you, the hip is floating up. Be aware of these little movements, let them happen. They're just assisting you in this movement. So again, think about, this being a fluid posture. Think about, like water flowing through the body. There's no joints, there's no creaks, max creaks actually, but there's no hard edges. Just think about this movement flowing through the body. And you could settle in here, and I'd actually think if you don't want to go into the other little pose, you might even just want to come back to this. This is lovely in itself. But I'm going to settle, and I'm taking a look towards that leg behind me, and I've dropped into this hip in front of me. I'm looking at the foot, and I'm thinking, okay, I can hear you, and I'm just going to see how I feel about touching the foot. And again, I can let it go. Bring it in, I'm comfortable with that. I'm listening to the sacrum, that feels comfortable. I'm listening to the pelvis, it feels comfortable. I don't feel like I'm forcing my way into this. So again, I just want you to do this with the effort it's the right amount of effort, I would say. Just don't think about pushing. And then it might be nice to take that top hand, the hand in front of you off the floor, and float it up, place it behind the head. It might be like the worst thing ever suggested. Taking then your awareness down to the floor and settle down. Take it down. So from this position, roll yourself comfortably onto your back. Sorry. So settle down, close your eyes, and begin to let the ground behind you support you. So you never know what you're feeling right now at this point. I know whenever I've worked with hip postures, I mentioned that this chakra is all about sense of pleasure. Please just tune into the sensations flowing through the body and just ask yourself, does it feel pleasurable? Do we feel that we've let go of the things that the body wants to hang on to for whatever reason? Enjoying being unattached to the tension we hold on to. I'm just going to play with our breath just for a few moments. And one of the loveliest breaths we can do to release deeper into this place we want to inhabit is to take a breath with a bit of a rhythm to it. So we can just start to slowly breathe in to a count of 3. Release the breath out softly for a count of 6. Then at the end of that breath, hold it for a count of 3. And then again, breathing in for a count of 3. Breathing out for a count of 6. And then holding that breath on empty for a count of 3. And then just repeating. Just play with that for a few moments in your own time. Trying to let go of this breath. And again, just resume your awareness of what is flowing through the body, all the sensations you can feel, the emotions that you might be sensing. And then whatever place you feel you're comfortable doing, you can either keep your hands resting down by your side, or if you want to bring your thumb and little finger to touch, that little finger is the symbolisation of the water element. And people do really attach themselves to mudras. Some people, if they practice them often enough, they can feel the mood change with it. I'm working on them at the moment. As you're resting into this space and you're just breathing, just asking yourself just a few little questions. How receptive are you to joy? How receptive are you to giving into pleasure? Pleasure could be anything, letting go of worries and not being tangled up with things that bother us. Just letting be, what is, it be. You have flurries of being creative. And colour really affects the mood. Some people really need colour in their life to calm them down. And if you think about the colour of the chakra, it's the colour orange. The effect that orange has on the body, on the soul when you see it, it's a colour of joy, colour of fascination, enthusiasm. Just picture that colour orange flowing from the sacrum and glowing outwards. And just, notice how you feel when you sense that colour. And each of these chakras have a sound, and these sounds are said to be, again, ways of releasing deeper within the body. They can kind of planting these sounds each time you say them. So as we didn't do the one last week, I want to just do this one. And this one is the sound VAM, V-A-M. As you take an inhale, just think about maybe like a pulse on the breath. VAM, VAM, VAM. You can maybe imagine it, you can say it, you can just maybe whisper it. Just think she's lost it completely and don't bother, it's up to you. Just think about that sound. Each of these sounds are little vibrations, and you know that vibrations can release tension through the body. And just letting go of that sound and just maybe say to yourself a little mantra. I am balanced, I am content, I am joyful.